They all have something in common and they knew it was something they had in them. They were aware that they could be something more than what they were. They were willing to spend their time and effort improving themselves. It's amazing what you could do with your skills. And that's why we're going to tell you a couple of short stories from Warren Buffett himself today, as well as draw some conclusions from them. Welcome to Financial Market TV. If you're new to the channel and enjoy content like this, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. Also, please don't hesitate to share your comments down below and give this video a like. Let's get started. The first story is about a woman who sold her business to Berkshire Hathaway for millions of dollars. She started with only $2,500 in her wallet. It was everything she had in the world. This woman landed in Seattle in 1917 and couldn't speak a word of English. She had a tag around her. The tag said Fort Dodge, Iowa. The Red Cross got her to Fort Dodge, where she was reunited with her husband who had come to the country a couple of years earlier. And she lived in Fort Dodge for 2 years. And as she put it, she thought like a dummy, meaning she felt kind of stupid. She was unable to comprehend the language or learn a single word. As a result, she and her husband made the decision to relocate to Omaha in 1919. They arrived in Omaha where she discovered a small Russian Jewish community. As a result, she began to feel more at ease. Then, as her oldest daughter went to school, she'd bring her daughter Frances along, and then she'd teach her mother the words she'd learned that day at school. And this woman, Rose Blumkin, spent 20 years saving, bringing first her siblings over, or mother and father, $50 at a time. She sold used clothing to do it. She had 4 kids during this period, and by 1937, after 20 years, she'd had saved $2,500. She went to Chicago and she bought what she could, which is furniture. Her dream had always been to open a furniture store, and this woman who had never gone to school a day in her life, with 2,500 and a spirit of dedication about having a dream and working to accomplish that dream, she built a business, which she sold to Warren Buffett in 1983 for $60 million, approximately, in which did $1.5 billion worth of business after that. The fourth generation started working in the business just a few years ago. She was unable to read or write because she was unable to comprehend. It's true that she didn't contribute anything special to the furniture business, but she did offer a desire to succeed. Anyone couldn't outwork her, she was certain of it. She was aware that her consumers were important to her and her customers, and she worked at a very low gross margin, but she established an excellent company. The second story is about a man. Buffett tried to buy a business from him and he turned it down, which is a pretty wise decision. But this was a fellow who was born about 8 years before Buffett, and his name was Jack. He lived in the Midwest, and Jack was a pretty good athlete. However, he didn't like school very much. What's funny is that this guy's company that he built hires more college graduates each year than any other company in the United States. However, this fellow who was destined for this but didn't know it attended college for a year and then dropped out. How ironic is that? Maybe he wasn't that interested in school. Suddenly, when the US became under attack in 1941, he went down to the Army Air Force recruiting station, volunteered, and got rejected due to his hay fever. So he went over to the Navy and again volunteered, and this time they took him in, putting him in an aircraft carrier. He flew small fighter planes. During World War II, he got very distinguished to flying, and then he came back to the Midwest. So now we've got a young guy around 23 or 24 years old, and the interesting thing is, he got back to the Midwest and they actually kind of went from one job to another for a short period of time. And he finally became a used car salesman at a Cadillac dealership in St. Louis, Missouri, at age 35. Having moved up in the organization, the sales organization, he asked his boss if he could go in a car dealership with him. The boss said that if he cuts his salary in half and comes up with $25,000, which he ended up borrowing, by the way, then the boss would agree to be partners in a car leasing company. So Jack started at age 35 in the car leasing business and had 7 cars. It was pretty slow at first. In fact, one of the things he did was whenever the phone rang, he would actually let it ring 3 or 4 times, so people would think he was very busy answering other phones, despite it being pretty much the only call he was gonna get that day. So his first venture was okay, but it wasn't really going anywhere. Now, the lesson in this for all of us is that at age 40, This guy had 17 cars and decided to go into competition in the rental car business. So now he's taken on Hertz and Avis, all these companies that have hundreds and thousands of cars. Yet Jack only had 17, and not any different from theirs. He couldn't get the airport location either since, well, those companies have the other companies sewed up. But he was determined that he would basically offer the customer a friendlier service than they've ever seen. And so he started a company and named it after the battleship that he'd flown from in the Pacific, which was the USS Enterprise. Unfortunately, he passed away a year and a half ago, but when he died, his rental car company started with those 17 cars was more worth than Hertz and Avis and all the rest of the rental car companies put together. The man's name was Jack Taylor, and his descendants and almost a fourth generation long line are managing the business. You might know this guy. You see, this man is in the United States and he didn't invent artificial intelligence. He didn't do anything crazy. He was just like Rose Blumkin selling furniture. Warren emphasized that any one of us could have entered those businesses, but Jack lived by the creed of basically delighting his customers and working with people and establishing relationships with them, so that they in turn would want to delight the customers too. He couldn't go out there and take care of every rental car. He learned how to project himself and his attitude towards his fellow man and his desire to make a friend out of every customer. He managed to take a very ordinary car and turn them into this extraordinary business from virtually nothing. That illustrates several points. One is that you don't necessarily have to get it right perfectly the first time. However, Jack found the golden key. He took a very ordinary business and turned it into an absolutely extraordinary operation, just like Rose Blumkin. These people didn't worry about whether the Fed was going to tighten their policies. They didn't worry about whether the stock market was going to go up or down. They definitely didn't worry about things that they couldn't change. But they did worry and focus on the things that they could change. And that was the customer experience. You see, the test isn't whether you get the greatest business idea in the world, it's whether you keep learning as you go along. What your strengths are and what you can do for your customers, what you can bring, especially to the table. To do that, you need education. You need genuine desire day in, day out to delight the customer. Warren has seen a lot of businesses, but he's never seen one that delights the customer that doesn't succeed. I mean, what you want is for the customer that the next time they want to go and rent a car or buy some furniture is to go to those places that gave them the best experience. When it comes to our personal life, you will always remember how you're treated when you buy things. You might forget about the price, but you'll never forget whether you had a good experience or not with the purchase. And you'll have a hard time finding a person who had a wonderful experience at purchasing anything that isn't going to come back. Similarly, if you have had a bad memory of rudeness or anything like that, the problem is that they won't come back. And as a small business owner and as your business grows, you'll need to be able to not just show that you are caring about other people's well-being and pleasure them, but you'll also need to do it through others. You won't be able to do it through people who themselves don't feel like they're being fairly treated, that their views aren't appropriately considered. So you really do have to learn to multiply yourselves through other people. The key is certainly in terms of your personal life, the most important decision you may make, you'll make as a spouse or father or provider, and it's very important to surround yourself with people that are better than you are. You are going to move in the direction of the people you're associated with. Buffett advises you that when you seek out partners, whether in business, in life, whatever it may be, look for the people that are actually examples to you, rather than someone that you need to straighten out yourself. Delighting customers, working through other people, associating with people will cause you to move on a better path that you might otherwise haven't gone on. They will take you so far in life that it would be hard to believe. Warren admires these people tremendously. He admires the young people that are doing what Jack and Rose have done, working hard at their jobs and at the same time establishing relationships and also being hard at work in furthering their skills. Thanks for watching the whole video. Again, if you're new and like this type of content, subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to leave a comment down below and hit that like button. Also, click on the notification bell to get updated on our weekly uploads. See you in the next video!